Somewhere around 9 years of my age, we lost our mother. 6 months later, the father was also no more, and we ended up facing homelessness. So it was tough during those days. I knew then that my only meal of the day was lunch. Lunch which was offered at school. So in front of all the other kids, I had to go and eat that. I'm a scientist, but I'm a scientist who believes in God. Because in science we say that there's a saying that to see is to believe. And I enrolled into BSc General. That's when I met chemistry. You see, when you're driving a car in winter and you see someone walking on foot, that's when you realize that you are blessed. No knowledge, no experience. You know, it's like someone comes here and tells me that this is how you're supposed to do an experiment, and I'm a doctor in chemistry. Who are you? You see, which says to fear the Lord is to hate evil. Our problem as young people, we want things and we want them now. It shows an apple. If this fist is my apple, this apple, this side has been beaten. You see, that's basically all that is happening to us because of social media pressure. Yes. But when you know that I'm working towards this goal, and this goal I'm going to realize it after this, you know, are you going to stop cultivating for your trees? Because I just said, what are you doing? You see, you should have planted spinach. Look at my spinach. 3 years I show you.
Welcome to another episode of the Reconnect podcast and TV show. We are shooting the 6th episode today, and we have the distinguished guest, Dr. Mohau Moshoeshoe. Greetings and welcome to the podcast.
Thanks a lot.
You currently hold the position of a lecturer at National University of Lesotho. Can you tell us a bit about what you teach your students?
Oh, yes. I teach chemistry, more specifically analytical chemistry. Yeah, analytical chemistry is the type of chemistry which is more concerned with what matter is and how much of what substance is in the matter. You know, we look at that pen of yours and we want to know what is it composed of and how much of which substances is in that pen. So that's basically analytical chemistry in a short and general explanation.
Yeah. On your early life and journey, you have experienced significant challenges in your early life, losing both parents at a young age and facing homelessness. Can you walk us through your experiences as a child and young adult navigating these difficulties?
Yeah, that's another chapter of my life. I don't know whether to say it's a sad one, but I wouldn't think it's sad. It was sad then, but now when I look at it, I think it's what made me me, because I was born in a well-to-do family. Yeah. At around the age of 5, 6, if I recall, we had 3 cars. You know, it was in the 70s. So if your parents have 3 cars, then they are like well-to-do. Yeah. So somewhere around 9 years of my age, we lost our mother first due to natural causes, it is said. And then 6 months later, the father was also no more. That's when troubles began, you see, because then you lose your mother and you lose your father immediately like that. And we were left with only our grandmother. The grandmother is the elder sister to the mother.
Yeah.
Yes. So our grandmother, we had always grown up with her because she was always there as our nanny from birth. I can't recall when I first saw her. I mean, when I opened my eyes, she was there.
Yeah.
Yes. So we just knew her as our second mother, if I should say that. But then being a nanny or auntie is now called, you understand she was not working. She was living with us since we were born. So she was not working, she was not qualified. She really had nothing to do. So that's where the problems began. And we end up facing homelessness. So it was tough during those days. But during the grace of God, we managed, we carried through, because I remember that this happened, these losses happened when I was in standard 7, just about to write my primary living school certificate. But then I managed. I wrote my standard 7 exams. I passed, and then I had to go to Form 1. And then there's no money. There's basically nothing. No money for school fees, no money for uniform, nothing. Yeah. So I remember well that my mother, during her lifetime, she was a teacher. She taught at Maserude High School. So when these situations now were unfolding, the then headmaster of Maserude High School was the one who admitted me to school without even applying. My grandmother approached him and told him that, yes, this is the situation and here is a child. Then the person said, no, he can come. So I had to go to school in Maserude High School. Okay. And now I'm a student in a school. No uniform, no book fees, no money for food, nothing. You understand, the homeless child going to school. There's basically nothing to go to school with. My uniform was purchased by the teachers in that school, my mother's former colleagues. They are the ones who said, now, this is something else. So they contributed and bought me uniform. And then the headmaster then said that, okay, he doesn't have school fees. At that point in time, he said that let's see if he can just go through Form 1. If he can, then we will organize some scholarship for him, because then there was this scholarship called the SCF scholarship, Save the Children Fund. I don't know if it's still running even now, but it was there back then. So they said, no, we can apply for him, but he will have to show that he can be serious in his studies, because those guys just sponsor students who are good in their studies. So they said, you have to make sure that you are good. You have to make sure that you pass. Otherwise, you are not going to get this scholarship. So the first 6 months of my Form 1, I went to school without sponsorship, without food, without nothing, just the uniform that was bought by my mother's former colleagues. I'm trying not to be emotional, because I knew then that my only meal of the day was lunch. Lunch which was offered at school. Yeah. No breakfast, no supper. Only eat during lunch. Because otherwise there's nothing to eat at all. So that's how I lived, I think, from Form 1 up to Form C. Those 3 years, that was the pattern. Even when the other school kids would not like to eat the lunch which is offered, I had no choice but to eat it. You know, there are some days when in school you are offered apple cabbage, and the other kids will not eat that. They'll just put it there and leave it there because they don't want to eat that. But for me, it was either that or I'll see food tomorrow at lunch. So in front of all the other kids, I had to go and eat that when they are not eating it. So those were the difficult times of my life. So that happened, and I think one of the things which helped me through that was my belief in God. You might be amazed that I'm a scientist, but I'm a scientist who believes in God. Because in science we say that there's a saying that to see is to believe. Yes. If you want me to believe that this is a book, show me that this is a book. Prove to me that this is a book. If I see this diary, then I will believe that it is a diary. That's how science operates. But then in Christianity, we say to believe is to see. Yes. In Christianity, you have to believe first. Then you will see what you believe. Whereas in science, you have to see first, then you will believe what you see. So that's the type of person that I am.
So beyond the academic journey, how did these challenges shape you as a person and your perspective on life?
Yeah, like I just said, these are what made me believe in God a lot. Because when you are at the point of on ground zero, when you have nothing else to do, and then you start seeing miracles, then that's when you start seeing and believing that there's a God. You see, when you are homeless, you are sleeping outside and you pray, ask God that, God, please help me, please help us find a house, please help us have somewhere to sleep. And the next thing, a house appears by itself without you going for it. Then what do you call that? During our homeless times, I remember this other time we were sitting Kastopo with my grandmom. We are 5 at home. I have two younger brothers and an older sister and an older brother. So I'm number 3. It's my older brother, my older sister, me, and my 2 younger brothers. So we are just sitting there as Tupong, and we have nowhere to go, nowhere to sleep, nothing to do. And we are just praying and asking God for help, and and all of a sudden this guy passes by us, and he looks at us and our grandmother was like, what's going on here? The guy is a former colleague and friend of our father. He was like, what's going on? Why are you sitting here? My grandmother tells him, we have nowhere to go, we have nowhere to sleep, and the whole story. And he says, no, this cannot happen. This cannot be. Okay, I'm coming. Just wait for me here. I'm coming. I'll find something for you. He goes away, and then he comes back after some hours with his van and says, no, come in here. I have Malaini, and I've organized a room for you to go and sleep there.
Wow.
Then what do you call that? So you see, that's when you start seeing that there's a God somewhere, and he has a part to play in my life.
So at what point did you feel a sense of stability or hope for the future, and what contributed to that shift?
I think I'll just say that I always had hope, because just like I'm saying, just after things went bad, then that's when I saw God in action over my life. You see, and then you begin to see that, okay, so I'm not alone after all. Yes, you see. But then you also have to stand up and say, you realize that, okay, I have to stand up and walk this journey of life. That somewhere from 2, I realized that, okay, even though God has a part to play in my life, I still have to do something for myself. I've been told that for me to qualify for scholarship, I have to pass. Then I have to stand up and make sure that I take my studies seriously and I keep on passing, because once you fail, the scholarship goes away. It's awarded to someone else, and then you'll have to come and apply for it again. It was a bit different from the NMDS scholarship. You know, NMDS, if you fail, you go and repeat, and then you can go and reinstate. But with SCF, you are not going to reinstate. You are going to reapply. And you are going to reapply after showing that you are now serious again. So you don't want to drop, because once you drop, things will go bad.
So apart from SCF, is there any other funding you received?
I received NMDS funding when I came to NUL. Yes, SCF is the one which took me throughout secondary school and high school.
So can you describe the moment you discovered your passion for science and what drew you to this field?
This one, I can't really recall. I think I've always loved science from my early stages in life, because I used to watch this program. There was this Sunday program in SABC1. It was called TV1 back then. Yeah, so it used to show science in an animated form, the human body, how it works. And you remember those early years, 7, 8 years, I used to love that program, watching that program, to the point where I even wanted to become a medical doctor. And so I just grew up loving science all the time from back then.
Were there any teachers, mentors, or experiences that ignited your interest in this particular area of study?
Can't say, because like I'm saying, I used to love science from that early age. I had already developed my love for science. So even the teachers who were there were just playing into the part that was already laid out. Yeah, I can't say that I was looking at this person and I was influenced by them. I already grew up with the love of science, the love of finding out, the love of investigating, finding out what works, and all that.
So when you came to NUL, you enrolled into BSc General?
Yes, I enrolled into BSc General. Like I mentioned earlier, my interest was in becoming a medical doctor. I was very interested in biology. I loved biology because since all my days, I used to love biology, watch biological programs and all that. So I enrolled to BSc General. And when I enrolled into BSc General, that's when I met chemistry. I don't know what happened, but during my first year of study, I began to be more interested in chemistry than in biology. So at the end of first year, I had thrown away the idea of becoming a doctor. I was so interested in chemistry. I just wanted to know more about chemistry. I fell in love with chemistry when I was in first year.
So after the degree at NOL, what did you study further?
After the degree at NUL, I went to study chemistry further because, like I said, I fell in love with chemistry. Well, in NUL, my second year in NUL, I registered for a double major in biology and chemistry. Maybe I think I still had that small love for biology. So I went back for both biology and chemistry. But as I continued with biology and chemistry, I think I fell more in love with chemistry to the point that after I graduated, I just knew that all I wanted is chemistry. So I went to study for a master's in chemistry. And after my study of master's in chemistry, I went for a PhD in chemistry.
Wow. So on your research, you focus on water resources, water use and waste management. How did your life experience influence that decision?
This decision was developed through during my postgraduate studies. The country which I went to for my postgraduate studies for MSc and PhD. Yeah, that's Botswana. Half of it is a desert. Yeah. So I realized that back at home, we have so much water, and yet we don't have water. Now, you see, when you're driving a car in winter and you see someone walking on foot, that's when you realize that you are blessed. You're in a car driving and all your heaters are on, and you see this other person passing by shivering, and so you realize that even though my car is, I'm always fixing the wheels and the steering and fixing this and that, but I am blessed. Yes, that's when I realized when I was doing my postgraduate that, man, these guys here are suffering due to lack of water. And we, back home, we have this in abundance, yet we don't have it because we are not caring for it. We are not taking it to be some precious commodity which we have. Yes. So if we were more careful with it, then we really have gold in our hands. Because a lot of countries don't have as much water as we do. We have so much water, but you'll be amazed, we'll be told that we are in a drought, there is no rain, and you find that the agriculture is suffering, yet we have so much underground water. You know, in Botswana, they have to go dig deep, hundreds of meters for underground water. I bet you if we can stand outside here and dig, we will not get to 50 meters before we reach water. Yeah. But they have to go 200, 300, 400 meters before they get to water.
So, based on your life experiences, what advice would you give to young people facing adversities, whether it be personal challenges, poverty, or lack of resources?
I think this one you already know what I'm going to say. Because, like I did say, my experience, my life experience, showed me that there's a God in heaven. Yeah. And there's a God in heaven who is willing to help us. There's a God in heaven who's willing to help anyone. The only thing is we have to agree to his principles. You know, there's a verse in the Bible, I just can't remember exactly where it comes from, but it says, "My son, give me your heart and let your eyes be interested by my ways." I'm just trying to translate it literally. I know it in Sesotho. It says, "Ngwanaka, mphe ya hao, mahlo a hao a tla kgahliswa ke ditsela tsa ka." So the principle is simple. You yield to God, and then after you yield to God, that's when you will then begin to see that his ways are interesting. You know, as a young person, maybe not even only young people, but everyone, as people, we believe that we have to believe in something that makes logic. Yeah, you have to understand something first before you believe in it. There has to be logic. Yeah. But you see, God's principles are an inverse of that. Believe, then there will be logic. Whereas with us, we say, let there be logic, then I will believe. Without believing in God, all the things that he says have no logic. You can't understand anything that he says without believing in him. I remember I was talking to someone a few days ago, showing them that some of God's things are amazing. I was giving them this example when Jesus met Peter and the other guys at a fishing place. The Bible records that they had fished the whole night. These are fishing experts. They know that for you to go fishing, it has to be at night when the fish will not see your shadow due to the sun's rays and everything. And then they know the places where to fish based upon all their expertise and their experience and everything. So they went there, did everything perfectly, correctly, the whole night, but no catch. Nothing. So in the morning hours, they decide, we've done what we could do today, so we have not caught anything. It's time to knock off, because now the sun is coming up. We won't be able to catch any fish during the day because of all the reasons of their expertise. And then when they had knocked off, they are busy cleaning their nets and washing. Jesus walks, enters the scene, and he says, "Come and catch fish here." Who is this guy? Has he ever fished even throughout this life? You know, the Bible shows that he was a carpenter through his life. What does a carpenter know about fishing? And look at the time of the day that he tells them to come and throw their nets. And he just points at a certain direction. No expertise, no knowledge, no experience. It's like someone comes here and tells me that this is how you're supposed to do an experiment, and I'm like, I'm a doctor in chemistry. Who are you? You see. So they are just looking at him and like that. But then for some reason, Peter goes like, okay, if you say so, I will do that. Then he throws the net during the day when there should not be any fish. At some direction where there should not be fish in that direction. But then they throw the net. And it is recorded that they caught so much fish that they had never, ever, ever caught throughout all their fishing time. These are experts, but nothing like that had ever happened to them. So it's just about you agreeing to what God says, even though it doesn't make sense. Just by agreeing to what he says, then everything that he says starts to make sense because you have agreed to him. I know when I talk about God that most of us, we believe that we are Christians. We know it's said that Lesotho is a Christian country. And almost all of us know Psalm 111 verse 10, which says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of understanding. Yeah, almost everyone you ask them, I know, we know the fear of the Lord is the beginning of understanding. But then when you continue discussing with this person, you find that most of us don't know Proverbs 8:13, which says to fear the Lord is to hate evil. We believe we fear the Lord, and the fear of the Lord is all the understanding, but the same Bible says to fear the Lord is to hate evil. Then you find a person who says they fear the Lord, on the other hand, doing what the same Lord calls evil. Now, God is a very personal God. You can call him petty if you like. You can't be his friend and a friend of his enemy. Yeah, he says, you are either my friend or you are that guy's friend. You are not my friend and the friend of that guy. So basically that's that. You are either with God or you are not with God. Yeah. So my life experience has taught me that if you are going to be with God, just be with God. Remain with God. Be in God's camp alone. If you are saying you fear the Lord, hate evil. Because you can't love evil and then fear God at the same time. And some people will say, well, what is evil? Evil is anything that God calls evil. I'm not the one who's going to be describing evil because I'm not the author of the word evil. It is God who says, this diary is evil. If it is blue, it's evil. If God says it's evil, then it's evil because God says it's evil. I don't have any explanation of why this is evil and why this is not evil. It's only what God says. If he says this is evil, then that is evil. That's all. It's evil in his eyes. That's it.
So looking back on your journey, what is the single most important piece of advice you would give to your younger self and why?
I would tell the guy, be patient. I would just tell the guy, be patient. Yeah, because our problem as young people, we want things and we want them now. I want a car and I want it now. Yeah, some people have described our generation as the microwave generation. you pull food from a freezer, maybe you had cooked and then you left the food say, in a freezer. You pull it out of the freezer, put it in a microwave, press 2 buttons, then 1 minute, the food is steaming hot. Yeah. In the past, our fathers and mothers used to communicate by letters. Yeah, our fathers would be somewhere in the mines, somewhere in South Africa, and our mother would write the letter and then go to the post office, post the letter and wait. The father will receive the letter after a month or so, and then write the response, post it, and wait. And the mother here, after 2 to 3 months, will receive the response of what she wrote 3 months ago. What do we do? Take text and then say, Thapelo is not responding to me, but he's online. What is he doing? If 20 seconds pass before you respond, I'm furious. Why is he not responding? 20 seconds. So I'll just tell you, be patient, because you cannot live in a house which you are building. We have to build our lives. If you're building a house, you don't start buying furniture and putting it in the house after laying the foundation. Yeah, you lay the foundation and then you start putting on bricks and you have the structure there and you wait and you put the roof and then you put the windows and the doors and you do the painting and after that, that's when you start moving in after water and electricity have been wired in and everything, But with us, we want it. We want it now. And I think one of the problems that we have run into is social media. Oh, social media peer pressure. Yeah. There's a picture that I like putting on my WhatsApp status. It's about an apple. Its title says Life in Social Media. It shows an apple. If this fist is my apple, this apple, this side has been beaten, you see, but this side is still intact. So we show you the intact side. We don't show you what has happened to this apple, this side. That's basically all that is happening to us because of social media pressure. People in social media, the people that we are following, we are so interested in, they are showing us this side of their lives. Yeah. We don't see the other side. They don't show us that. And this also reminds me of some story which I heard about what is called a Chinese bamboo tree. I don't know if you've heard that story before. It is said that this Chinese bamboo tree, it takes 5 years to grow 30 meters tall. Mm. But the catch is here. It germinates out of the ground after 5 years. Wow. And then in 5 weeks after germination, it is 30 meters tall. Now, the problem is you are planting a Chinese bamboo tree. The question is it going to be 30 meters tall after 5 weeks or after 5 years? If we are planting a Chinese bamboo tree today, are you expecting it to be 30 meters tall after 5 weeks or after 5 years?
After 5 years.
After 5 years. But within these 5 years, you have to cultivate the soil, you have to water the soil, you have to put fertilizer, you have to make sure that everything all the conditions are perfect for this non-existent tree. I pass by you after 3 years and say, what are you doing, man? You're on the ground there. What are you doing? I'm planting a Chinese bamboo tree. You're planting a tree. Let me see. You've been working here for 3 years. Are you sure you're planting a tree? You see. Yes. But when you know that I'm working towards this goal, and this goal I'm going to realize it after this, are you going to stop cultivating for your trees? Because I just said, what are you doing? You see, you should have planted spinach. Look at my spinach. 3 years I show you all my small shrubs. But you know that what I am doing is going to be way bigger than what this guy is showing. You see. So that's a problem with us young people. We want it and we want it now. Even when we have some ideas, when I'm working towards my ideas and then I start seeing this other guy's progress, I feel like maybe I'm not so correct after all. Maybe. Whereas I know exactly what I'm doing. You don't wake up having a degree after 2 weeks. You don't enroll here as a first-year student, and then after 2 weeks you have a degree. It's going to take 4 years, at least. So you work towards that. But then with us, with our generation, we want it now. We want it because this other guy is showing me their success. Yeah, they don't realize that the guy shows me one success, but they're not showing me the 19 failures before that success. You see, when I go and buy a new car, I will show you a video of myself unwrapping that new Benz at the shop there. Yeah, I won't show you the past 6, 7, 8 years of my life when I was working towards buying the car. And because I just showed you that 5 minutes clip of me unwrapping that car, you already want to be like me and you want to also buy a car, and you want to buy a car now.
Well, thank you so much for being on the Reconnect podcast and TV show. Is there anything you'd like to share before?
Thanks a lot for having me also. Thanks a lot for having me. And I think I've said a lot. I can only just wrap it up by saying to young people and to everyone who's listening here that the key to life is to fear the Lord. Fear the Lord, trust Him, and be patient. Yes. With that, then you know that your life is set and everything will go well according to His plan.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Nat.